everyone, and welcome to the Practical Heroes Network, and our first ever. Ooh. I had my stream on, and I hear myself screaming back at me. So that's our first hiccup already. So let's start over. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Practical Heroes Network and our first ever DM Roundup. This week, the Practical Heroes Network is doing a charity week. We are donating to ExtraLife, so we hope that you'll hang out with us and donate some money if you feel so inclined to, and we're really happy. And we decided to do this charity week to celebrate that Radio D&D that James over here runs and that I'm a part of. It has joined the Practical Heroes Network. So I am so excited to be hosting this roundup. Like I said, I'm Steph. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Plain Ethereal. And I guess we'll just go around the table and we'll start with Nikki. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, let's get this kicked off.
Okay. I am Nikki. I am the creator of Beholder to No One, Dice Before Dawn and Sound Control RPG. And I am also the DM for Awfully Queer Heroes' current game, Tower in the Soul, which is so good.
Ooh.
I do a lot more stuff, but I'll stick to that.
Junie.
Hi, I'm Junie Ruiz, and I'm a very nerdy dad, and I'm one of the cast members on Running Feywild, and I'm happy to be here.
Sam.
Hello, my name is Sam Cummerford. I am a Dungeons & Dragons TTRPG player and college student. I run role-playing. I was the DM for the first season. I'm a player in this one. It's pretty darn tootin', if I do say so myself. So yeah, you should check that out, maybe.
Yeah. And last but not least, James.
Hey, I'm James Landoff. I'm the DM for Radio D&D, and I've been a DM the majority of the 5 or 6 years I've been playing.
James has DM'd for me, obviously, at Radio D&D. If you haven't checked us out, please go ahead and check us out everywhere that you can get your podcasts. And yeah, I think we're going to jump right into this. Like I said, it's our first DM roundup, so I'm very excited to have this esteemed panel here with me. And I think we're going to start off really easy. Just, go very chill. I want to know what everybody's favorite spell or cantrip is, or one of each. It's don't say wish. Banned.
Who's taking it? Who wants it?
Yeah. You know what? I'll field this one. I'm a big fan of prestidigitation, minor illusion, those realm of illusory cantrips, because there's so much you can do with them. Thaumaturgy kind of falls in that group too. I don't really have a favorite, but you can just mess around with people that way. It's a whole bundle of fun. That and Eldritch Blast. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you can't leave that one out, right?
No, come on. What? It's like the fireball of cantrips.
I've never really heard anybody put it that way before, but I can't disagree. You're not wrong.
We've all thought it.
Yeah.
We've all thought it. It's very true. Nikki.
My favorite cantrip has to be Chill Touch, just because it's skeletal hands reaching out to grab you. It's just falls in like all of my characters' MOs. But my favorite spell is one I actually haven't been able to use, but I want the right campaign to use it one day. Is Storm of Vengeance. It's a 9th level spell, but it is an amazing spell if you are about to be in a war and if you have a druid that can cast 9th level spells. Most of them are gone. Most of the like military and the band, like any low level creatures, dead in 6 rounds before they can even reach your house or your castle, because it just has a thing that does every round, and it's like acidic damage, bolts of lightning, hailstones with bludgeoning damage, freezing rains, and it's just so epic. I want to use it in a battle one day and just like wipe out half of the army of the other people.
I haven't even heard of this spell, perhaps because I've never gotten to play like a 9th level caster, but that seems wild.
I got hype.
That's good.
Junie, please tell us.
I have a tie for cantrip because one is purely for story. I don't know why I like Dancing Lights so much. Because I feel I could either always make it a party. I always pick characters that can't see in the dark, or it does say something you can make almost like a vaguely humanoid shape. And more than once, I've had depressing characters that have made them vaguely resemble a lost loved one, and it's really depressing. I don't know why, but the fact that I can turn a flashlight into different things was kind of cool. The one that if I had to go like, oh, I want to give this to somebody because this is good for the party, is I like Magic Stone. Like that's like the one if I had to go like, oh, this will make sense. It's because definitely like one, all right, I can make something to hurt people with. I could just touch a pebble and imbue it with energy. But you could like give that to people too. You could also give those little magic rocks to people. So it's like giving people, almost like giving them a gun. But you could make dangerous things to hand out, and it's a cantrip. And in the same vein of like tossing things and hurting people, I love catapult. I love using the world around me, and basically, what angle could I have something fly at somebody else at a very high speed? So
yeah.
Now I want to make a tavern brawler that also has catapult.
Yes, I was like, yeah, it's like tavern brawler but magic.
Yes.
You're using the so imagine doing catapult and then grappling somebody. That's not how that would work, but I would allow it because that's improvised as hell.
I mean,
go ahead.
You could be grappling someone and just start like pulling bottles at yourself or something like that, you know?
Oh my god! Just start throwing things at yourself, but you're holding them.
Yeah, you're like, I got him, get him.
Oh my god!
It's a very specific combination of things.
Kind of amazing. James, I'm dying to hear what yours are.
Well, my favorite cantrip is the best cantrip, and that's True Strike, obviously. Yeah.
No, that was said with confidence. I want to hear it.
Yes.
It's not True Strike. My favorite is tie between Thaumaturgy and Vicious Mockery, just because the amount of roleplay that can go into it, and Vicious Mockery is a spell where you literally get to hurt the person through an insult. I can't think of anything that's better than that.
I just can't make up the insults. That's my problem.
That's my problem too.
My insults are like, you look stupid. And I'm like, yeah, I showed them.
Gotcha.
Well, depending on how well you roll on the damage shows how insecure they are about what you say.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it.
That's a good way to put it.
That is a really good way to put it.
I'm very bad as well at coming up with insults, so I always reflavor Vicious Mockery into, instead of it being insult damage, I usually make it confusion. So it's like one time I complimented somebody so hard it hurt their brain, or I just spoke in riddles to the point where I spoke in a way where it was like a know-it-all talking, and it was just nonsense, but it was said in a way like I was mocking them, and it hurt their brain.
Did you know that spaceships can fly, but with wings? And if you actually trajectorize a thing and going 300 miles, and then what the fuck?
That hurt.
Yeah,
that hurt right now. Yes.
Felt like I had the math symbols around my head for a moment while I was trying to put that together.
Just few science and math words.
Oh man. I'm so lame. I feel like my favorite cantrip is like guidance because I use it like all the time, and I feel like it's just so. I feel like I also play a lot of clerics, so I end up like being the player that's like, can I use guidance on this? Can I use guidance? I'm putting guidance here, probably much to the chagrin of many a DM. I don't know what my favorite spell is. Maybe, I guess I'm kind of a big fan of like speak with animals, speak with plants. I love that kind of thing. Those provide great role-playing moments. That's the kind of player that I am. So, yeah, combat-y stuff is really fun.
Speak with animals is a great one. I will talk to every dang animal we find in that entire campaign and attempt to befriend it and make it my pet. My DM hates me for it, but I will try every time. And they're like, no, you can't have the dinosaur for a pet. Please.
That is how I got a mouse companion in one of my campaigns where I played a warlock and she could speak with animals. And yeah, I just started talking to a mouse and he he let me take over his he's like, here's my daughter mouse. She can be your like little spy. And I was like, great, I love this. Very weird. Very weird situational kind of thing, but yeah, it was a good opportunity. And everybody in my party thought I was thought I was nuts, which I love even more. I guess on that note, since we kind of talked a little bit about classes and we kind of talked about parties a little bit, before I jump into a little bit deeper of a dive, what is your favorite class to play or to have players play, and what is your least favorite class if you have one? Don't feel pressured. I definitely do. I have very strong opinions on that. But yeah, Nikki looks like she's about to jump on it. Please go ahead.
If it's D&D, it's Bard 1000%, but generalized face characters in general for any game, because I just kind of fall naturally into that. And I love playing the badass face character that like convinces people of things, but sometimes also the seductress one. But I love just playing the bard or the any type of face character. My least favorite is paladin. I don't like playing paladin personally. Same. I think other people can have a great time playing paladin, and you do you. I just have never found it fun playing religious classes.
Sam looks so hurt. Yeah, Sam looks so hurt.
Because I don't even play religious paladins. I just play guys and gals and non-binary pals who are so dedicated to some path that they're like, yeah, I'm gonna kick some butt for this goal, you know? Like yeah. I'm gonna get fit, right? Redemption paladin, get those gains, and that's their oath. They're a gym bro. I don't know. I'm not a big religion guy either. Even if I do play a cleric, typically there's something of a heretic. But yeah, okay. I guess I might as well transition to this. I love paladins. I love them so much. I've played every subclass. I have so much fun with them. Just any face character who is either a complete idiot, like himbo style, or is like some master manipulator rogue. Those are my two extremes. Those are what I like to do. Least favorite, monk. Not a big fan of monk. They get too much. They get too much. The armor class, the multiple hits, they're crazy good, especially at low levels.
I will say I love my monk.
I have never heard anyone say that a monk gets too much. If anything, I've heard the opposite.
Oh no, they get so much, especially like I have a level 15 monk with 23 AC and can run like 180 feet in one round. God forbid you put haste on her.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous and I love it.
Yeah. If you take, like, if you're a variant human monk, just take fighting initiate. Your unarmed strikes are now D8s at level 1. You can make 2 of them. And that's crazy. That's insane. You can make them like an insanely broken level 1 character off the bat. Like, okay.
We do have an Air Genasi monk in Radio D&D, and he can, I think we calculated it like with haste and with like his boots of speed and his other stuff he can do. He can run like 72 miles per hour.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I know, right? We joke all the time. We're like, he's basically a car. Like, why buy a car when you have Zephyr? Please, Junie, James.
Junie, you want to go?
Yeah. This is gonna sound so dumb because it's my current main PC. But I have to start with least only because it's the one I've gotten least experience with, so I almost feel like I don't know how to love it yet. But it's sorcerer, and my current main my current main character that I'm playing on Running Feywild is a wild soul sorcerer.
Yes.
And it's this thing where all the other classes I feel like have a, you know what they do, or you can get a real thing. And with lack of spell slots, and I'm not tanky, I'm not super strong. I'm trying to find that niche. So it's a lot of character driven. Like I have to, but it's, it's the one I'm trying to wrap my head around the most. And I guess it's the hardest, like, because I haven't seen a lot of sorcerers played. I've seen a lot of everything but sorcerer. But same with Nikki. I'm a bard in every other way. A sword bard, valor bard. It's never musical. That's my big thing. I never do it musical. It's charisma. So it's either through just talking good or just inspiring through violence. That's my favorite thing. Sword bard is like they inspire you through their violence is art.
I've switched mine from music to painting once, so I have a paintbrush as my, instead of an instrument, as my focus.
I usually have a weapon. Like I usually say, like my weapon has like holes drilled into it, or the scabbard has. So when I swing it, it almost makes like a whistling sound. Or I always make it that they're tapping rhythmically on the ground right before they start hitting something. Like that's how I incorporate the musical aspect of it. But for me, I like, it's weird because it's like I like all of them, but it's the one that if I had to rank them, it's the one that I'm like, I haven't seen as many, so I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, this is how you do sorcerer. Like I haven't messed with sorcery points like that. I haven't seen firsthand how people like, oh yeah, people are twin spelling and they know what to do when, and that's where I'm like,
it can be badass.
I see it. I know how it can, but
I've only played it like twice though, so I always pick like the wrong spells according to other people who play sorcerers.
Who even cares?
No such thing as picking wrong spells. That is like that's like my hottest of hot takes, is that I don't believe that there's a thing as picking wrong spells. I've definitely played in games before, like when I was first starting out, where other players would be like, are you sure you want to pick that spell? That's not really like an optimized spell. And I would be like, fuck you.
Yeah, I don't need fireball. Sorry, like I want this instead. It sounds way more interesting.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm a really big fan of like playing into like your theme or who your character is and stuff. I think that that's far more interesting than taking like the maximum damage spell. Not that all of my wizards or sorcerers haven't had fireball, because it just kind of made sense for them to have like, one big thing, but we've got some other weird stuff as well. James, I need to know, what is your favorite? As I know that you are DM PC, which DM NPC is a sorcerer, so I need to know what your favorite class is to play.
I'm sorry, it's not sorcerer.
Gasp!
It's not. My previous favorite was cleric. And the reason why I love clerics is not necessarily the devotion aspect, but the support that they provide. Like you have bless, shield of faith, you've got healing. I enjoy doing support things, and this would go back to DMPC is maybe why I like them so much. But I like the feeling of making others really good at what they want to do.
I like that a lot.
That's fair.
What's your least favorite class?
My least favorite class would have to be any class that doesn't have access to magic. just because I feel like if you don't have magic in D&D, you're missing out on such a crucial part of it. There's so much utility with magic, and if you don't have magic, you're a fighter, you're someone who just deals damage, and that can be outdone by someone with magic.
To be fair, though, while fighters have been like dubbed as not the best option, if they have a magic weapon and a magic armor on, and they can just kick some freaking ass and like get so many attacks in, like they get labeled so much as like bland, but you can make them a lot of fun.
I feel like there's always that temptation, like, oh, I'm a fighter, but I could go for.
Sam has so much to say right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm boiling.
I'm
boiling.
Oh no!
No. It's just the whole fighter is bland. If you think fighter is bland, you're playing a bland character. That is not the fault of the class. If you have a blank canvas and you can't decide what to draw on it, that's not the fault of the canvas. So you know how many feats and ability scores you get with fighter? It's insane. True. It's crazy. The amount of customization you can have in fighter alone is wonkers. It's bonky, which I just combined two words that had no business being combined. But it's a great class. You can even make it magic with Eldritch Knight, or you could take Magic Initiate if you want. But I mean, even then, if you take you do like the whole Polar Master, Great Weapon Fighting, Heavy Armor, dude, what have you, craziness, you're just not gonna die. I mean, sorcerers and wizards, they're crazy powerful at a certain level. Also have like this many hit points, so somebody's got to take the hits, and it isn't going to be them.
Yeah,
it's a necessary component.
Truly,
I've gotten arguments about that with people.
I think it's a good balance. Like you have to be able to kind of balance having, I think you should try every class, in my opinion, to kind of figure out what you want. If you, if you like playing a fighter, I play a fighter in like a very casual game. It's my first fighter, the only fighter I've ever played, an arcane archer. And I kind of love it. I'm kind of getting into it, but I've really only played casters before then. And I'm a big fan of sorcerer. Like I'm a huge sorcerer stan. And warlocks. I can't believe nobody said warlock. Warlock's like my favorite. I think there's just so much like flavor that you can do with it in so many ways that you can go. But weirdly, I think I've played almost every subclass of Warlock except for Hexblade. So I have no experience with the most traditional one. And I hate Paladins. Sorry. I just dislike Paladins.
To go back to any class without magic is bad. My first character was a barbarian, and it was the most fun I've ever had as a player. So I'm not necessarily saying no magic is bad. You can definitely have fun. It's just there's like something built into D&D that wants you to take magic.
Oh yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you. I'm just saying I don't like people who just shut on fighter because it's bland. That's false. That's false. Fighter's a ton of fun. And Barbarian is so much more than just some shirtless himbo who can take hits. My God, Barbarian is such a cool class. It's
my
so cool.
Current Barbarian character is from the circus and a gladiator who fights lions, and she is just so much fun because she wants to just desperately protect her sister. And that's her goal in life. So she has this heart of gold, but also like gets very angry when people are like making fun of her friends or like trying to rip them off or trying to like screw them over in any way. And she's like, I will fight you if you even think about touching my sister. And then we'll get very angry. And there is a fight suddenly for some reason. It's weird.
Has anybody taken made a character that shouldn't make sense, but like it ended up being fantastic? Like I like making I'm a big human player because for some reason my brain can really I always like sliding into the pocket of like, all right, there's dragon people, elf people, magic people. What if though you were just a dude?
Yeah.
And there was all these other people that live very long and have magic. What would this dude do? And for some reason, I like doing that a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been really into mixing races with like outside source books, like an elf and orc had little baby.
I've been seeing that. I've like,
oh, it's so much fun.
And random things. I don't know if I did it like just say, oh, you can't tell if this is that, and that was just a flavor thing. That somewhere else I saw something similar where that was specifically like from immaterial, like a thing. Yeah.
So I've made 2 classes that I've actually played. One was a Grung Furbolg, which was very interesting. They look like a giant frog person with poisonous skin.
Oh, it went that way. Okay,
I
went the other way.
Person.
I went with tiny amphibious cow person, but you went giant frog person.
Yep.
Okay.
And the second one was a Dalkin Drow because it fit a character arc I played previously. And Dalkin is from the Magic the Gathering books that were released as PDFs, in case if you didn't know. But I played a Dalkin Druid who fell in love with Dralaxel, and they had a kid. So I played their kid, which was a Dalkin Drow. And so it's like a drow, but with dark blue skin and like bright white hair and 6 fingers, because that's what Dalkins have. And then I love her. She's my favorite. She's my figment of imagination character. Warlock.
I've never done anything like that. I might have to try it. The wildest thing I've done is played a Hexblood. That's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy Hexblood. Lots of flavor there. I'll
have to link the book later.
Please, yes.
It's good.
I will say it can be abused very easily if you're playing with someone who likes to min-max and like make broken characters. But if you're doing it for story purposes, it's a fantastic book.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've been following role-playing for any amount of time, you will know I love Reborn so very much. There's so much you can do with that, especially with paladins. But they're so cool, and they don't even need to be edgy. Let's be real, they usually are, but they don't even have to be. You can have a guy who just loves his family so much that he came back to help him out. Is all good stuff. Big fan.
I like the size option with Reborns. Because somebody was like, well, I'm a kobold, but I think I'm Reborn. I was just like, just so you're aware, Reborn gives you the option to be a this size or this size, and you could just be whatever you were. So if you were a kobold, you have the option to be medium now, and you could just be a very big kobold. Isn't that a dragonborn? Yes, or a big ass kobold. Which do you want?
Very big kobold.
They didn't take me up on it. They're fools. Somebody in the chat wants to know everyone's favorite moment when DMing.
Oh yeah, that was next on my list.
Thank you, Clandolf. yeah. I saw it. And I was just like, haha.
Oh.
Yep.
Before we get to that, James, do you have any thoughts on this? On being just a guy in the party, or favorite races, I guess?
I feel like I tend towards like monstrous races. Like I love Goblin. Goblin is my favorite race. That and Kobold. There's something about being like a small little like mischief maker, or in my world particular, just these little guys. Goblins are, it's unfortunate for goblins in my world, but they're just the hardest little workers. I don't know, goblins have a special place in my heart.
Don't worry, James, those goblins in your world will be forming a union soon.
They probably will.
Not that those goblins were influenced by anybody in any particular party. 100% my character. And Casey's. Okay, yes, let's get to Clandolf's question of everybody's favorite moment when DMing.
I'm trying not to go first again.
No, go
for
first.
it. I need some time to simmer my thought juices.
My favorite is when they're just role playing and thoroughly getting into the story. Like I just am sitting back and letting them go, and they're just like calculating with each other and trying to figure out what's to do next, and like just having a wonderful time building up that relationship, because role play to me is what makes the story. And they in my one game that I run as a paid DM, I absolutely adore the character growth in all of them and how much they want the others to shine. So there have been moments where characters have actually seen things that they never thought they'd see because they're normal villagers and they just saw death for the first time in this world for them, like fighting death. And they literally didn't know how to handle it. So now they're literally having role play sessions in chat right now while we're doing this about how they're interacting with each other to overcome this and how they're each interacting with these deaths that happened or that they caused. And I love it so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah, completely concur with Nikki. The just when players get really into not even your world, just their characters in general, that is such a good moment, especially when they can RP with each other on their own and you can just kind of sit back. You're like, all right, this is shit. This is good stuff right here. But favorite moment, I am currently running a Western based campaign. So guns and spells. So which is a ton of fun. And I think probably my favorite moment from that is I'm a cliffhanger DM, much to the chagrin of my players. But I remember I'd kind of built up like they come to the city and whatever, and one of their like favorite NPCs like got like killed like right in front of them, and then I ended the session, and the looks of shock on their faces will live with me forever. Is that evil? Yes. I didn't do it for no reason. I'm not the kind of person who's like, oh, haha, the NPC died. There's a reason for it. But oh my lord, just the looks. Oh,
that is maniacal. That is
yes.
You're a sociopath.
Debatably.
I was pointing. I would have started clapping. I was snapping my finger. Everything you just said, I'm like, yes, this guy gets it. He gets it.
Oh my gosh.
If I'll go next because I'm very similar to Sam here. I love giving people that moment that they go to their friends or try to explain to anybody else where they explain that one thing that they did that'll only make sense in their context of whatever. And I was gonna pick something like that because that was my favorite moment is giving that. But I recently had what became my favorite DM moment ever, and it was I was doing a game at a library, and it was kids that were 13 to 16, and there was this group, for some reason, they just love annoying their like patron character, the guy that's like giving them their jobs and he pays them a lot of money and all that fun stuff, to the point where in order to almost railroad them to stop annoying him, I said that he paid a fortune to get an anti-annoyance force field around him. Amazing. So they cannot physically get close to him to annoy him. And that's me basically going, now stop, go somewhere else. You can't put a cup on his head. So whenever they start the session, they try to annoy him, can't, and then they eventually give up and go do the mission. And the mission he was so serious about it. The one character that's a pyromaniac and she's very chaotic, I had him look her dead in the eyes, and I'm looking at this girl, and it's this 14-year-old girl, and she's like, okay. And then I'm like, and he walks right up to you. And if you let him, he puts his hands on your shoulders, and he says, you do whatever you have to do. Cut loose. Go wild. And this girl has tried to set fire to him 17 times within the past half hour. I caught her so off guard, she just stood there, and then I was like, he puts his hands down, he walks away. And then they all looked at her like, you didn't do anything. And she literally looked at her hands and said, I didn't know what to do. And I caught her off guard, and I saw her shook. I scared her. I startled her with the scene. And then I was like, this is it. this is the moment that where they realize that it's not just like it's the game transcends a lot of levels. It's not just like, I blew this up, whatever. It's just like my character had something where both of us were shook, and they shared an emotion, a feeling, whether it's confusion, happiness, fear, whatever it is. Both her and her character were so stunned by what was happening they could not react. And then she was just there. Just to see her look in her hands, that was the part that got me. She's just like, I didn't know what to do. Just like stunned.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of amazing. I love that. James, please. I can't wait to hear this.
My favorite moment is whenever the party starts theory crafting or coming up with hypotheses of what's happening, and they have all of the pieces and it's all right there, and I just get to sit and like listen to them say, oh, what if it was this guy, or is this person connected to it, and just letting them slowly unravel things over time.
Do they ever get close? Like,
I don't think I can say that.
Dang.
No.
Damn it. I tried. Yeah, I can't really speak to this because I've only DM'd like a couple of sessions, and I don't think I had anything that really like blew anybody away because I am, as they say, a baby DM, and will probably remain so. I much prefer to be a player. It's less stressful for me, though I'm sure as James and Mitch and anybody else who has ever DM'd for me know that I'm a very stress-oriented player. So somehow playing D&D is less stressful than DMing D&D for me. But yeah, I think that we should get to Clandoff's next question, which was, what are you guys' opinions on DM NPCs? Or NPCs in general, I guess, like ones that are featured predominantly within your games, not just like
necessary.
100% necessary.
100%. Like me playing an NPC, I'm like as like a party player. Is that what a DM NPC is?
Yeah, like in the party for sure.
I just never heard that terminology used. So that's why I was confused. I use that only if we're missing a party member for a podcast.
Okay.
So if where we have a person who is replaced, in the Awfully Queer Heroes game, if a player has to miss a game, instead of worrying about oh shit, we're down a player, we just say that Malar, the Beast Lord, grabs that player accidentally instead of the person who worships him and made a deal with him, and pulls them into the battlefield and replaces them with Riku, this other NPC or this NPC that will fight alongside with them and do whatever they need help with. So it's easily just to like replace that person, and we can keep going. But NPCs are what make the story for me.
Really.
So I, as a player and as a DM, like I absolutely love when people get close to NPCs and get like these, you can get these storylines, you can get these extra little tidbits. Like I remember as a player, there was like this hot cake bun lady who just sold sweet cakes or hot cakes on the side of the road. We gave her so much money, she became rich enough to buy a house, and that put a target on her back. And when we couldn't find the sweet cake lady, we're like, where did the sweet cake lady go? We don't know her name. What the hell are we supposed to do? And we went on a hunt to find this lady and found out her name was Mildred. And then we found out the story and like went and defended her and found everything and did what we need to do. But we adopted her as like our grandma.
Okay, very cute.
And how dare anybody try to touch Mildred ever again? We will destroy you.
I'll go next if that's okay.
Oh yeah.
So for me, it depends. There's not a lot you can do if your party finds an NPC and decides to stalk them through the desert, who inevitably ends up joining their party. There's not much you can do about that. But if you are a DM and you are forcing a DMPC into the party, and that the NPC is getting all of the finishing blows, dealing the majority of the damage, there's a problem there. The DMPC, if there is one, should be used to highlight the player's abilities, not detract from their story. Like I said, there's not much you can do if they like an NPC and they get roped into whatever they're doing. But
yeah, could not have said that better myself. I am in basically the same camp. To me, NPCs are part of the setting. They're there. Whether or not the players decide to interact with them or not is up to them, right? All those stories about like, oh, I spent so long making this NPC, and then the players just talk to the goblin with pants. You didn't know they were going to talk to the goblin with pants unless you did. Then you're some kind of psychic. But no, it's the NPC should never detract from the player's story, right? Like what James said, they should be their background unless the players are talking to them, unless the players need to be talking with them. And especially DMPCs are so tricky because if you're a part of the party from the get-go, you've decided, oh, this is the way I'm going to run it. This is what I'm going to do. If the DMPC becomes the one in the spotlight, it's no longer a game about the players. It's a game about you. And that's not what it should be, at least to me. I don't know. Maybe you have different ways of running your game. That's not for me to say, but at least for me, it's a very delicate balance.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've played in games where the DM was a big fan of having NPCs in our party, and we ended up our party ended up with like 3 NPCs in our party that were like always with us, and they had big storylines, and it was just kind of like, dude, maybe you should like join a game as a player, because it seems like you might want to like play these characters, and it's not really, they weren't really adding to the players. It was actually one of the first games I played in. I enjoyed it, but looking back on it and playing with other people and having different experiences with NPCs, yeah, I totally agree. Junie, you have not. I need you to weigh in on this.
I haven't jumped in. I know I talk a lot, so I was nodding because everything everybody else was saying was like exactly how I feel. I will say that I have made easily avoidable accidents in the past, that the more experience I get, the more I know I should avoid, like having them, like if an NPC is there, like being a little more involved when they should during like a key moment. And this happens for me during combat where like I'll have them there and it's kind of like that extra NPC like in a video game where it's just like they're going to help you with, cover fire or something like that. If you, to kind of, if it's going to be a challenging encounter or something like that. And this has happened to me twice, and I say it's easily avoided because I would have described the situation where I'm like, okay, you guys are ready to finish it off. I've done the whole big setup for the next blow is going to finish this, whatever, dragon, lich, whatever the situation is. And then, inexplicably, I'll have 3 PCs totally whiff. Like, everything they attempt just goes away. And then I've already established that the NPC is, like, helping them. So I you know what I mean? So it's like I would have to try to cleverly go like, oh well, he decides to not shoot or hit the thing now. I was like, oh, he'll shoot whatever, and then he'll steal the kill accidentally because I've already said like the thing's on his last leg type of thing, and they'll make for hilarious moments. And I've only allowed it because it was like it was adults that are. This is a funny situation and this is whatever. I wouldn't do it to children or to people like where, they're so invested. But I know I have done that backed myself into a corner with NPCs where I'll do the same where they're highlighting, but then oh no, I made them too integral to the situation, or accidentally made them more important, or put them in a way where they accidentally got elevated to a status that they shouldn't have been, like the thing with the goblin with no pants. Did I need to give extra details and a lineage, because then they'll latch on, and then, oh no, now I have to do this, and he accidentally ascends the elevator of rank in NPCs. I'm like, oh no, we got to drop him. I got to stop this.
That's when you just go, I got a letter from my family. I must go. I will be back.
Yeah.
Finish.
Unfortunately,
we'll go with you. We'll go. Yeah. We're invested in your family now. That's how that would go.
I travel faster alone. Thank you for your goodwill.
And he left in the middle of the night, and nobody can find him. He left a note. I think definitely, as with anything with DMing, it's kind of live and learn. So you're gonna make mistakes, especially as like a baby DM. Which is a great segue for the next question that I have, that I actually got from a friend of mine who is a baby DM. I played in, I think I mentioned this prior to us starting to stream, but I played in 3 sessions with her, and we are level 5 characters. And she messaged me and said, am I scaling combat too easy? Is there a way that I can scale it to help, with this character who's just like beating the shit out of he is just hitting, he's rolling so high, he's hitting so hard, he's getting like 25s, but you and the other player are just, it's not even that you're whiffing, it's just that you don't, it's not as high. The hits aren't as hard. How do I balance that? Like, her exact words were, how the fuck do I balance that? I think that balance is definitely something that not even just baby DMs, that a lot of DMs experience, because you obviously, the goal is to not kill the party. Well, I mean, depending on who you are as a person, maybe it is. But, the goal is ideally not to kill the party, and not to make it like DM versus player, which is like a whole different discussion. But yeah, how do you scale when you have a player or like a min-maxer? And I guess jumping off of that too, like, how do you guys feel about people who like to make really broken characters and min-maxers? So twofold question.
Yeah. I don't have a big issue with min-maxers as long as they can justify within the bounds of the story. You can have an optimized character. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Totally.
But if you're making your Hexadin super stabby boy for the purposes of kicking ass and taking names, I need a little bit more, personally. I don't know. But if you are substantially just better than the rest of the party, I'm just going to target you. If you're a threat, I'm going to try to kill you more than everyone else who isn't perceived as much as a threat. I mean, hey, you seem like you can take a hit. You seem like you can deal some damage. I'm going to send multiple goblins over there as opposed to just one. We'll see how that goes. And then when the party thinks, oh no, they're targeting one of our own, then they can flank them. They can do some cool tactics to kind of compensate for that.
Yeah.
But you just have to take into account, like, does the monster instantly know before a battle that one party member is some min-max munchkin? Probably not. But as the battle goes on, they're like, this guy's doing a little bit too much damage to me. And then you just account for that, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at balancing unless it's like straight everybody's equal, and I use there used to be one called Kobold something.
Kobold Fight Club.
Thank you, Kobold Fight Club.
Oh yeah,
but that's closed. My husband made a new one called R4I.io, so rollforinitiative.io, which does the same concept. Because I'm like, I need this, please, for the love of gods. I need this to help me create this, because I can do the math by hand, but if I'm on the fly and in prop DMing, I need help with just making the balance. I noticed that, like, if you're playing someone who is If you're playing someone who is specifically more powerful and you're using a bad guy that's throwing small things at them to kind of test the waters, then you can kind of plan ahead and they'll know like, okay, we have this person who can take a ton of hits. We need to throw something at them that maybe they're not going to be able to handle. So then you can they could be tactical and throw something in at that is more uses magic more that's wisdom based or something like that so that they can try to charm that person and bring them onto their side. And then what is the party going to do at that point? So like there's ways around that, but I think it should be treated as a tactical decision and not as a I'm going to destroy you decision. Yeah. And the bad guy is like slowly learning and watching as the party is growing and becoming more powerful that like, okay, this isn't working. They destroyed all my armies. What do I do? I'm going to hire someone that's better in a different way.
I know one thing that I would recommend to somebody if like they're finding out that like, oh, the things I want to throw at my players is killing them too easily. A lot of people I think pick a monster off of like this looks the dopest or like this is what it has to be. But we are gods as DMs, and those attacks that thing can do and the hit points that thing has is entirely up to us. So the stat blocks we can you know there's no rule as to you have to use that Garistro stat block. You know, you can say that it looks like this is what it looks like and then use the stat block of something that's more level appropriate. So instead of doing, you know, a 50 damage to somebody, you're like, yeah, I'm worried about killing my players. You can do something that's like, this would be an even fight, but this is what I want visually to look like. There's always for newer DMs, I always like to say it's like the books, the any sort of supplemental materials that they're all like guides. They're not Bibles. They're not like you have to do it this exact way and it has to look and math up this way. It's you can whether it's hit points or just tick marks for however many hits. That's all different. For what's right, what works for you. That's what I say. For the making the killing things. As far as a party, like that's case by case in my brain too.
I feel like DMs of any level have difficulties with balancing, especially as party level increases, where you just get insane spells. It's something that you have to work with. It's not going to be like perfect every time. You might make a monster or have a monster that you think is going to be super powerful and super challenging, but the party just, you know, defeats it in a couple of rounds. You have to look for like what the players are specifically good at and either play to those strengths or challenge those strengths. And combat doesn't always have to be about fighting. There can be obstacles in their way if they're in a laboratory and there's literally a wizard up on a scaffolding. You guys have to find a way to get up to him as he's hurling spells down at you. It's more than just numbers against numbers. And if you can find a way not only to gauge what your players do in a typical situation, but also find things that are going to challenge them in the environment as well, that can really make combat more interesting and feel less like just, you know, this guy hits this guy for this much damage.
Real quick, because I really like that point. Does anybody have like a most interesting way that you've had a party deal with a situation that you just didn't see coming? Because I know I was a part of a party where instead of fighting this tribe, we converted them to veganism, and that's how we avoided the fight. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it worked for us. Huh. So veganism solved a problem, and I was like, well, that's a thing. We could say that. We solved your puzzle.
I think my favorite one was a game that I DM'd where a player left. This was actually the game that Sam was in temporarily, but another player had joined and had to leave because of personal reasons, and they were a god of themselves. They were becoming a god that they wanted to become a god. So they were starting to look down that rabbit hole of how do I get more power when they had left. So I decided this is a perfect bad guy opportunity because they're starting to spiral out of control with this knowledge. And they were on the astral plane and found out there's the graveyard of the gods, and they found a ritual that would siphon the power from the gods to themselves. So the party finds this out, and when they get there, one of the players is like, I'm going to try to persuade them down. I'm going to try to make it so that they stop this because I don't want to kill my friend. This is a really good friend of mine. I cannot kill her. I need to try to talk her out of it. And I'm like, you can try, but it's going to be very difficult. And in the midst of this heavy session where this player or this NPC now is pulling the power of a random god, which was Bahal, which is a bad idea, and has this directly siphoning into it. My player started citing poetry because this NPC had taught her how to write poetry in one of the first handful of sessions. She wrote a poem out of character for every single player that this character knew. And it was such an amazing idea. And they ended up, I'm like, okay, that is a good enough reason for you to be able to roll a persuasion check. And you have advantage because you literally wrote poetry for this to like get to her emotionally. And she beat the score by 1 point.
Oh, you gotta love that.
The NPC is like, I need to stop, but couldn't because now Bahal was starting to wake up a little bit and try to take over, and gated themselves to get them out of the astral plane so they could stop the power. But that still means there's a fourth of a god in this person, so who knows what might come out of that. But it was just such a amazing moment that I was so glad I could end in not fighting for once. So it was a beautiful moment. I loved it.
Like a poetry slam saved the day.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
James,
veganism, poetry. What do you got?
Yeah, I need to know.
I've got 2 quick ones.
Oh man.
So there was one where unfortunately the party members still got captured, but they were left in this, what I can only describe as a monster laboratory. They had these big capsules that were basically creating monsters, and he got left down there by himself without the rest of the party, and the big bad guy was still in there. And when he found him, he was like, guess I'm gonna start releasing some monsters because I don't know what else to do.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought that was brilliant. And then another instance was when my players were in a street race. So there are cars in my world, and the bard cast Hold Person on the driver of a car. And you can imagine how that went.
That's good.
That was good. Good job, Casey.
Yes, that was my wife, Casey.
She, by the way, texted me and said, if James doesn't mention my bard using Hold Person, I will be so sad. So good job, James.
Thank you.
Weird outcome. I think for me, it's a pretty classic case of getting the goblins to unionize against their overlord and then forcibly take over the tower. Just kind of the classic nat 20 on persuasion. I'm like, yeah, I can't not do this. It's too good. And I'm such a yes DM. It's a problem, but it was a lot of fun. And this tidal wave of goblins saying, "Where's our dental insurance?" just comes into the room, just destroying their horrible overlord, Bezos type person. But yeah,
amazing.
That's it.
I love it. This actually happened to me on Monday in a session that I was playing in. Actually, that our friend Ethan, who plays Zephyr on Radio D&D, he DMs, and it's kind of like a historical game called the King's Raiders, and we're playing in kind of like Ireland, and there's like magic and stuff, and we ended up in this what they call like a fairy fort in Ireland, and there was a leprechaun inside, and we were supposed to, we found out later, like he anticipated that we were going to end up fighting the head of this army that had come to like surrounded this fort, but we ended up coming up with a solution that involved a little bit of magic and a lot of screaming that ended up scaring the army off because we rolled so high. Our rogue rolled so high on persuasion, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, and our session ended up ending very shortly thereafter because he's like, yeah, I really thought you guys were going to fight, but it was just too good. I couldn't not let you guys get away with this. Like, it was just excellent. I know that they would have been scared. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time, honestly. We would have been in a lot of trouble because we were kind of like backed into this fort with this whole army kind of surrounding us, and it's only 4 of us.
It's so frustrating when they roll so good and you know you have to give it to them because they've earned it, but then you're just like, you mother, you know what you've done. It's not like, oh, it's like, you did a completely out of left field move and I'm going to give it to you because you earned it. But dang flabbit, now these 4 pages are useless now. You just throw them.
There was a moment as a player that I need to mention really quick because it was a fantastic DM moment, I think. And my character, this was my monk, my level now 15, but I played this character for 3 years. And she was so predictable. She would go to the nearest city. She would go to the fight ring. She would pick the biggest target in the fight ring and fight them to prove that, hey, I'm better than you are because you're underestimating because I'm a tiny female. Screw you. I'm going to kick your ass. So when we were going through some shit and lost some people, I, of course, go find this fight ring in this local tavern. Turns out it was planted. There was a planted bad guy there to fight against me who was equivalent to Goku power level, and I could not win, and he killed me straight up. Like, I was down to 12 HP, and I literally was like, I'm not supposed to lose. And they're like, you're not good enough, and then punched me twice. The first one knocked me out.
That's a good DM right there. You're not good enough, and then punches you.
The second one, 2 death saves, and then slammed a crystal as a free action, or as a whatever action. I think it was his 3rd attack because he was a monk, into my character's chest, which was the Kyber crystal, and we were about to fight the person who was trying to release Kyber from Eberron. And I just died, and everybody else is like, the fuck is happening? I'm like, oh my god, this was a trap. That was fucking brilliant. I love this. I mean, I'm sad I'm dead, but that was great. Like, you guys will revive me. It'll be fine. Cool. Everybody else was just so like, what the hell? And I'm just like, that was such a good idea. I didn't even think that would be a trap.
I want to talk about a moment from Radio D&D that happened recently so badly, but I can't because the episode has not released. And James knows what I'm talking about. I can't. Yep. You know. Casey knows. Everybody knows.
Blood everywhere.
It was just it's like, oh God. And you just, there's so much. It's worse. So many people.
Worse than blood. It was the police.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you guys got that many chickens.
It's when you have a bag of holding, now we're just making shit up.
I have no idea what you. Yeah, no, yeah, not. I wasn't there.
No, definitely. As James said, worse than blood. It was the police. It's great. I can't wait for that episode to come out. It was fantastic, but it was James killed it. So I just think give him a little shout out there. We have a question from the chat, which is first of all, Sam. Yeah, has anyone told you that you look like Peter Parker?
Oh my God! No, not you guys too. I swear to Christ. Oh, which one? Which one? Which one, chat? Which one?
It's Andrew.
Is it Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire? Because I've gotten both. I need to know which one you think it is. Okay. I was working at a soup kitchen, right? And I kept seeing this table of guys just laughing at me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I'm like, what's up, guys? And then this guy says, "What are you doing, Seabiscuit looking ass?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're fucking kidding me? Are you serious?" I don't look like Tobey Maguire.
I can kind of see it. I almost
looking ass.
Wow. Keep that one in your books for vicious mockery.
It only applies to me. I can't say it to anyone else. But yeah, I'm aware, chat. Thank you. I do have a full Spider-Man costume that I wear.
Sad you didn't wear it.
I could change into it right now. No, I'm kidding. It would be a lot, but
the chat is saying that you look like Andrew.
I will take that as the highest of praise. We love our Bi King, Andrew Garfield.
I can see it. I can see both though. Like, cause I almost said Tobey Maguire. I was like, it's Toby. It's gotta be. But I'm hearing Andrew from the chat. So yeah, we had to get that one out of the way.
I am fine with looking like Andrew Garfield. That is.
I resisted typing in Miles Morales into the chat. I resisted typing.
I don't know about that one. I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, no, but it would have been real funny to just see her. Well, one person in the chat says it's just me.
Yeah,
I would have known.
Check chat.
Okay, so wait, before we get back to D&D stuff, who's your favorite Spider-Man?
Andrew Garfield's. I know. I'm a real big. I don't even like the movies he's in that much. I just think he's a fantastic, like, manic Spider-Man, which I relate to immensely, especially in the recent movie. I don't know if we can talk about that one yet, but it's been 3 months. What am I? Yeah,
I'm dumb. I haven't watched it, but I know.
You know, yeah. And he's phenomenal in No Way Home. Honestly, my favorite part about the film. Yeah. I like Andrew Garfield. He's great. And I would kiss him if I could. But yeah, I don't know anyone who wouldn't. So that doesn't make me very unique at all.
Yeah, I need to hear everybody else's opinion on this before we go back to D&D. This is very important now.
I do not have an opinion.
Gasp! Junie.
This is gonna sound weird, but it's Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Because it's the noir Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse.
Very good.
If you ever watch Into the Spider-Verse, he has all the best lines where it's just it's always like windy and raining whenever he's in the shot for no reason. Mm-hmm. And it's just I'm actually looking up lines because I was like, I remember them all being awesome. It's just like, I stare into the night and the night stares back at me. He's like, it's just real, like, not Batman, just real dramatic. Like, you can tell he's gonna go punch a Nazi, and I just love everything about him.
Oh, he was the black and white one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
James.
Mine was Tobey Maguire before the third movie's dance scene.
No!
After that.
Before? Man.
Spider-Man 3 I have a special place in my heart for Spider-Man 3.
But before that, I was begging to turn off the TV. I was the cringe.
No!
I couldn't deal with it.
The dance made the movie.
It did not.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
I'm sorry, guys. I appreciate dad jokes. I do, but I do not have that level of tolerance for.
It's Sam Raimi though. I mean, it's cheese. My man makes cheese movies, grilled cheese sandwiches.
For so long though.
Why didn't it go on longer?
Spectacle.
That's the question you should be asking
my
yourself.
Question.
Tobey Maguire is my favorite Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
No, James, I knew you were going to talk about the dance. I just knew. I guess because I'm old. old. I grew up with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, so that's hands down my. Oh my god, you seemed so stressed out when I said that, Junie.
No, I'm sorry. I just looked up one of the Spider-Man noir lines, and it's real stupid. So I'm just like,
I was like, please don't be stressed out about me being old.
No,
I'm already stressed out enough about myself. No, I love Spider-Man, I have to say. Though Tom Holland is a very close second.
Yeah.
He looks like a kid. Well,
he's baby.
He's baby
boy.
He's a little baby. Truly. Okay, so I have to get to one of the questions from the chat that does not involve Spider-Man and does involve DMing, which is is there anything that you don't like about DMing?
the cocaine.
I don't like the cocaine.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything.
The cocaine.
Go ahead. Do you have something?
Someone better top cocaine. We can't leave it at cocaine, because the more it hangs there, the more people are gonna go, wow, yeah, everybody's all in agreement with cocaine.
Yeah.
I don't know, why is that the worst part? Get your mind going.
It doesn't, because the hobby doesn't pay enough to like get
to support
more
our coke
cocaine.
habit.
So it's just like, great, now
That's the reason.
yes, players, now because of this hobby, yes, of course I'm addicted to cocaine, but I can't support so it's definitely the worst part of it.
Sure.
That and the unbridled popularity of being a DM, so much so that you can only do that because you can't be anything else. You're the DM.
Yeah.
That's obviously the best part.
Really. Someone said notes. Notes are the bait. Two people. I think Jord is one of them. Jord from Practical Heroes. Notes are the worst part of DMing for them.
Jordan messaged me and said cocaine as well. He didn't say that. No. He did not say that. I'm not putting words in his mouth.
Mine honestly is confrontation when something happens at the table and you need to go talk to that person to try to like de-escalate the situation.
Yeah.
To make a better table experience, because I don't always know how the person's going to react, and I hate confrontation.
Totally.
If it's like my friend, it's fine if it's somebody I trust, but if it's like a table that I'm playing with for a podcast and I'm like, this is like really irritating me and I need to talk to you, or I'm going to obviously be upset with you constantly and I don't want this.
Yeah.
So I hate having to do that. Like literally there was a game once where I wasn't the DM, but we went to the DM and we're like, you need to talk to this player because they are ruining the game for all of us and it's not fun anymore to play here. And I was to the point of like wanting to quit the game, and it was playing with like my best friend and her husband, and they didn't, and they ended up. I think this was terrible, and I feel bad now, but like we just ended the game, and then started a new game.
Oh wow!
Which they found out like a year later, and when we're like, well, this is why. Sorry, but. Like,
it happens.
We tried to explain things and it didn't get fixed. You stole the light from everybody. You stole the spotlight constantly. You attacked random citizens while we were talking to them. Like, what do you want? So that's my least favorite part.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's up there. I love the comment that just says, God, I hate the players. Just let me write my book. That's good. I think for me, it's the burnout. Like, oh my Lord, are there times when I don't want to DM? But then I'll play a game where somebody else DMs and I'll very silently judge them. Not in a mean way or anything, but I'll be like, what would I have done differently?
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where like I should DM again. I miss it after like one game of me being a player or something like that.
Yeah.
But the burnout can suck real bad because then you have a campaign you've been playing for a while and you're no longer passionate about it. And that is the worst because you've poured so much time and effort into it and now it's just a chore.
Right.
But yeah.
I think a close second would be the mental part. because I've talked myself out of that people were not enjoying a game and changed the game completely. And then they're like, why'd you change the game like months later? And I'm like, because I thought y'all hated it. And they're like, no, we loved it. And I'm like,
oh,
wait. I just thought everybody hated it. Right.
Yeah.
I should have talked about that. I could have communicated that.
Yeah. Players who communicate with DMs, muy bueno. We love 100%. You guys. You guys are fan freaking tastic. Even if the communication is, hey, can we change this? I hate it. By all means, my guy, for sure. We can make that work.
I love stars and wishes and criticisms at the end of the game, so you can learn what they loved and what they would like and what they think you should do differently or what they would prefer you do differently.
Yeah,
it's my favorite.
Games.
Going kind of back to what Nikki said, where you have your problem players, but my biggest thing is like if no one is having fun, and that includes the DM. If things are just bad and no one's having fun, the monster that the DM made is hitting way too hard, and you just know that they're I had my first TPK in a one-shot, and I felt the absolute worst I've ever felt DMing. That was not fun for me.
I mean, but I do have to say, as somebody who played in that one shot, like we had a great time. Mm-hmm. Like I had a great time. It was my first TPK too. First time I'd ever been murdered.
Anyone's first TPK. But yeah, I feel like if no one's having fun, you should take a step back and talk to everyone and say like, this isn't working. How do we fix it? So
yeah. Communication.
I love this stars, wishes, and criticism. That's something kind of like that I'm trying to implement in some of my other games where we're like, I call them like positivity posts, where I like give the DM like great things that they're doing and the other players and stuff, because I think it's important as a player to like hear what what the other players also like. And I think it's important as a DM to, give your players the encouragement that they need, because one thing that I've struggled with is not having a lot of confidence as a player. How do you guys deal with that? Like when you have a player and you love them, you know that they're great, but they don't have a lot of confidence at the table, or they kind of feel like, and they're probably not like taking over a scene, or they feel like they're stepping on other people's toes, and maybe they just end up being a little quiet because of that.
The only real way is through like continuing to play with them and like telling them like that was a great move, that was like a fantastic idea, because it's hard, because like when you're in that mindset you're not going to believe it, but if you hear it enough times then eventually it might start to click. And that's what happened with me with DMing. And like I used to think I was a shit DM, and then with enough time of people like saying, no, that was a lot of fun, I really enjoyed how you did that, and like complimenting and or telling me what they liked and didn't like, and then just growing as a DM, I became more confident over the last couple of years. After 9 years of DMing, now I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not terrible at this. There's still days where I'm like, why am I here? This is not where I belong. Please don't listen to me at all. But then there's days where I'm like, no, I know what I'm doing. I got this. I'm fine. So just
to kind of piggyback off that, that's perfect. Really creating a comfortable space is so key, and that this is not just the responsibility of the DM. It is the responsibility of every single person at the table to create that space where they can feel comfortable being that character, because it can be hard, especially if it's a group you don't know. If you're sliding in for a one shot, you don't know anyone else, you're like the only outsider or whatever, God forbid. But that can suck, because like you're not a part of that group and it doesn't feel like it. But really making the effort to include someone in a game, and really making the effort to give them that space to be their character, is so crucial at any table in any TTRPG.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I like to trick them into getting into character.
Okay.
I've played with a lot of either shy people or new people or younger people that are in the game, so they don't know how to. They've either didn't put that thought into those aspects of their character or what their character would do. So what I like to do sometimes is I like to intentionally, without overstepping, almost put words in their mouth that I know is a little wrong or a little like just outside, because more times than not, if they don't, I'll ask them if I don't get the reaction, but more times than not, what happens is they go, I was like, all right, so yeah, so you take this from them. It's like, well, no, I wouldn't just take it. And I was like, then what do you do? And then they describe it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, so you just go up to him, you say, all right, I want this one. And it's like, well, I want to know if this is there. I was like, oh, so what do you mean? What do you say then? I'll generalize things or say it in a tone where it's very blunt or something like that. That gets, that generalizes what they wanted, but not exactly, to the point where they're like, well, no, I don't want to, like, and it's just like, well, then tell me. And then they kind of start realizing, all right, well, I have to tell the guy what I want. And then when they go to the shopkeep, now they're telling him, say, all right, I want to get this. And then they're asking in that voice, and that this is what I want. And it's like getting them out of that space of I have to role play. It's just like, just say and go for it, and we'll know, is this you or not, or something like that. But it's like sometimes it's just get them out of their own head, where they're like they're too scared to do it. So I trick them into role playing, into just going to it and being it.
I like to do that. That's great. That's a great idea. How do you do it? Like, just yeah, that makes sense, but role play it out. Because right now it just sounds like you're being rude and ignoring them. Is that what you want?
Yep. I just want to be clear. So you're just going up and you're just being like, meh, and you're going? No? Well, then what do you... Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James?
I think it's like good to know where their comfort zone is and hover around it and slowly like get them to move out of it bit by bit. And I think a lot of people don't like doing voices, right? And if they're very new to role-playing, they might just say, oh, my character does this, my character says that. But if you're a DM doing voices and showing them, where they can go, and that it's a safe space for them to explore and do these different characters, I think it's you have to lead by example and also nudge them very, very subtly.
Totally.
Because just throwing them in the deep end isn't going to get you anywhere.
And I will say, you do not need accents to play a separate character voice. I've never used an accent, except for maybe an English or a Southern one, in 19 years of playing, because I cannot do accents. But you can still tell my NPCs apart because they all have different personalities.
Do you ever accidentally shift into a character voice more than others? Like intentionally or not? Like you have this one voice you use?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like we all kind of have one of those like default sort of like voices or accents that we kind of shift into a little bit more than others.
Mine's just the flirty woman. That's like the default one. It's just the one that's going to flirt with the PCs. And I'm like, God damn it, I'm flirting again. Nope. Switch. This was an anxious person. Wait a second. Let me turn that off.
I get accidentally Southern somehow. I'm not from the South. I don't really know Southern people, but somehow I just get a little bit of a twang when I talk, when I'm like I need to pull out of nowhere, or the boisterous D-bag that you want to punch in the face, like the rich guy or something like that. It's just like, oh yes, it is me. Don't worry, I accept your apology for not recognizing me. You didn't apologize, and it's just like, why do I shift so easily into it? And I use him too often, and it scares me.
Maybe it's
roots in there.
Maybe it's convenient that my setting is in a big city, but mine defaults to the Brooklyn. I gotta go get the car. It just and I've never had this accent in my life. I lived in New Jersey, but I never talked like that, and that just slips. I can't explain why.
Going real quick. This is kind of accent, kind of people. Do you guys have any sort of patterns as far as NPCs across games that you've noticed?
Like Chaos Goblin. Every single game, Chaos Goblin has to be at least one.
I realized the other day when I was wrapping up like a big arc in something that all the major leaders that I had introduced were all in one place, and I was like, the speaker of this town, the speaker of this town, the person that helped you with this. All these women, like, they were all like boss ladies, and then I realized that in a lot of my campaigns are very strong, authoritative, like strong, independent women. And then I have this running thread of and I thought about it and I was just like, oh man, because my job is just women and my boss has all been women. It's only my mom, single mom, all my aunts. So in my brain, all authority figures are just, so all my like position, if it's a position of seat of power, it's always like some, like, so I have this strong, confident, like slightly higher octave, and that's like a running thing. And all it's like, all right, this is the boss lady over here. And I was like, this is a running thing, and all you can track. This is Junie right here.
Love it. I love Chaos Goblin too. Like, Goblin, always Goblin.
Yeah.
I think my trend is to make the big bad evil person not actually big bad or evil.
Oh.
I don't know if that's the case for the current one, but that was most definitely the case for the last one.
I don't think that in the current campaign we know who the BBEG is. I think we have some ideas though. Nikki.
Either the abrasive, short, punch first, ask questions later type of person who will get in your face and do that. Or again, like there's always the NPC that is just flirtatious is like my go-to because like I play in a lot of games where that's what players want. So whether it's like the leather worker at the Barnished Beauty, or if it's the god that came down to give you a chance if you offered your soul to her and your services to her, she'll flirt with you too, whatever. Also, it's only females that flirt because that's how I play.
Yeah.
Like the men are like, I very rarely make the men flirt unless it's like a gay man, and then I'll do it. But other than that, I'm like, but I also rarely have straight women in my games, to be fair. So I don't know.
I understand that completely. Just as a player, I have like a kind of a little bit lower of an octave that I like kind of slide into. And the funny thing is that I kind of end up coming back to my voice a lot of the times. Like, for instance, Lux on Radio D&D, I feel like I started off trying to give her like a little bit of more of a voice, and then she just straight went into my voice after a while. It just morphed. But as for accents, I basically only have a Russian accent, and that's all I do. That's my only game here.
Can we hear it? Like, lay it on us. What do we got? What are we
oh my god. Okay, so I played, fun fact, and then I guess we should talk about like maybe characters that we played that are some of our favorites. One of my favorites was a bard that I didn't get to play for too long, but she's a gnome bard. Her name was Marina Kutska, and she talked like this, and she's just really happy to kind of, play some instruments. And she had the balalaika, and her dad made little like eggs and nesting dolls. But yeah, very cute, pink hair. And she's a very, very tiny gnome, and she had to be like picked up all the time. And she had this one guy that she was traveling with, Kenji, and she'd always be like, Kenji, I really need you to just pick me up and put you on your shoulders. And he was a tiefling, so she'd like sit on his shoulders and hold his horns. So yeah, He was a hexblade. So yeah, that's my little. I also can drop it down a little lower, but I'm not super comfortable, I guess, with that. But yeah, there's a little taste of Marina. She'd just always be like, "Pick me up, pick me up, Genji."
I have way too many favorites. I don't know what to pick.
My most adventurous voice is the one I'm doing on Feywild now, because the way we're doing it is we're ourselves and we're like Jumanji isekai into our D&D characters.
Ooh.
So Noah, he's an anxiety-fueled kind of guy, and now he is in a kobold body with wild magic. So magic is dangerous. It's not just world magic. It's magic is dangerous. So I'm the charisma it's odd. He has to push through the anxiety. But I wanted a different voice for when I talk. Noah is just a little higher and it's just a little more nervous. But when the kobold talks, I needed to show the high charisma. So when Valathorian talks, he talks like this, and he is.
Ooh.
It's every novella voice, every uncle that I have is just all of these rolled up into one. And unfortunately, I'm going to switch back now. Unfortunately, my wife watched Jane the Virgin, like all of it recently, and her dad also talks like that because he's a novella star. So instead of using all the reference points for my entire life, I'm just using the dad from Jane the Virgin in my brain now. And it's just like, yes, I am the sorcerer Valathorian from Jane the
Love
Virgin.
it.
And that's it in my brain.
Amazing. That is fantastic.
I have a couple. Probably one of my favorite ones was my buddy Alex, who's DMing actually. Season 2 of Role Playing ran a cyberpunk campaign in Detroit for the gang. And I played a lawful evil politician. And it was so much fun to just be this like manipulative, slimy dude. Like, oh man, he was horrible. But I had so much fun playing him. I played this in a recent one shot. I played this Pugilist, which is like the best parts of monk and fighter kind of. It's a really cool class. But like he's like this classic like detective who just uses his fists. He's like, there are no trees in the concrete jungle. Like just really over the top, edgy stuff like that.
Like Nick Cage Spider-Man.
Exactly like Nick Cage Spider-Man.
I love everything. I was like, why do I love this? Oh, he's Nick Cage. I love it.
Exactly. Good. He always has a cigar or a cigarette in his mouth, talks like a smoker. I have to drink a lot of water when I play him. And then I think my final favorite character is this little halfling. He's a halfling barbarian, beast barbarian. And usually his physical stats are all at 10s or lower. And only when he rages does he get good stats. But usually he's kind of quiet. He talks like this. He wears a nice sweater. Kind of a Paddington Bear-esque kind of character. Very sweet. But then he's possessed by a demon when he rages. So then the demon comes out and like his bones crack and whatever. It's a whole thing. But yeah.
Amazing.
Can you maintain that like slightly British accent for like longer than a few sentences? Is it like, because whenever I try, it always switches to angry Australian for me.
No, it's not angry Australian. I just think of Korg from Marvel, and then I'll just kind of do it a little bit softer.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm not good at accents as much as I am characters. Like I could do a good Schmeagol impression, but then again, so can like anyone. So it's not like special.
You're not gonna just say that and then not do it.
You have to do it.
Nasty hobbitses stores the precious from us.
That's
good.
That's very good.
That's unsettlingly good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a bad person. I'm gonna make if anybody don't mention anything if you're not ready to throw down on it because I'm gonna be like,
clearly.
I want to see it.
Judy's like, you got an accent. I want to hear it. You got an impression.
My ADD can't handle not knowing that something exists and then not getting it.
Fair.
So fair. So true. Nikki, James.
They're scared. They're scared to mention anything.
No, I have so many. It's just hard. So, the Dalkin that I played was such a fun character because she was a hippie and she literally was growing a weed farm the entire time in the middle of Waterdeep because she had a wand of flowers, and we found out weed is a flower, so therefore wand of flowers can make weed, and you could just have an unlimited supply.
Amazing.
And she would just be like, guys, I don't understand why you think that this person is so bad. Like, they put someone in our basement in a lock. There must have been a good reason for it. Like, he's chill. I don't understand why you hate him so much. Dralaxel is not your enemy. I love her. And they're just like, no, he is an enemy. He's bad. You're just misunderstanding him. He's helped us so many times. I think I really like him. I'm going to date him. Okay.
Yes.
And I did, and they got married and had a kid.
Amazing.
And then another favorite is oh god, I gotta get into characters. A favorite that I did play, or I'm playing currently, is Mika for the Morning Blues, which is an Eberron game that's kind of Cowboy Bebop-esque. And she's her race isn't known in game, but she's a Shadow Swift, and she doesn't know that she is Shadow Swift, which is from the Planar Handbook from 3.5, and we just tweaked it a little bit to make it fit what I wanted the description to be. And she has ADHD. So she likes to bamf in between shadows like really quickly, and she'll like scare people. So she'll like run around. Like, oh, hey, hi. So I have an idea. Did you hear about the thing with did you hear about the spider? The spider. No, not the Dead Island spider. No, the ones with the notebooks. No, they have a lot of notebooks. I don't know what that means. And she's just like so excited and hyper, and then like when she's talking to her patron, she's like, oh no, don't worry, he's really cool, he's a great patron. No, he just doesn't want me to tell you certain secrets. It's fine. No, he can erase secrets. He can just make you forget them. Technically, has he done it to me? No. Why would he do it to me? We're like besties. Why he thinks you're gonna do it to me? No, he won't do it to me. That's fine. And then everyone else is like, I think you're being groomed right now. Like, I think there's a problem. And it's like, no, he's the coolest person ever. Like, what are you talking about? And then usually my go-to, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's pretty much just like any one-shot character I play is just like, I really, really love military stuff. That is so wonderful. You should show me everything. Absolutely everything. No, don't worry about them. They're just going to the little girl's room. No, walk over here with me. Show me all your military things. And we'll just like flirt her way into whatever she wants. And Mech Warrior has successfully stolen like $7 million worth of military equipment. So it successfully works 95% of the time.
I'm really dumb because the way that started, I thought you were going to segue into, I'm really into military stuff. So I thought you were going to like display some sort of military voice, and I didn't realize you were in a thing right then. Because I'm like, oh man, what's this military thing she's about to throw out there? Oh no, she's, okay, I get it now. But for a hot second, I'm like, oh wait, how is military going to influence this? This is going to be great.
I mean, I could do that too, or the super anxious ones are always fun too. Those are like always fun. Yeah. Okay, now I'm self-conscious. Next.
James.
I think my absolute all-time favorite voice to do is like the rich, snooty nobles. Oh my! Oh, don't touch me! You're dirty! Oh god!
Yes.
There's just
everything about that. We love
Hedonism
it.
bot from Futurama, essentially.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Yeah. Do you know who I am? How dare you?
How dare you!
Insolent peasant.
Yes, it's just
love it.
You voice someone you want your players to punch in the face.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
I had an NPC who did that. His name was Blink, and he's just like, you, the snake girl. Yeah, the snake girl. You over there. Can you tell me? I don't care what your name is. No. I need you to go do the mission with we want a bar. No, honey, we don't want a cemetery. Why do we need a cemetery? Somebody died. Who cares? Bury him in the river. I don't care. We need a bar. Like that's how he would talk to everybody, and every player hated him. And I'm like, good, that is the point. As I hit my microphone, that is the point.
Oh man.
I think my second favorite to do. I don't get to do it often, but it's the like high pitched like Monty Python and the Holy Grail English accent. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes, like but you have to do it.
Trying to think. Oh, why you got that? I'm just gonna go in the forest and pick some mushrooms.
Yes,
that one. I hope I didn't peek too much on that.
Yeah, it cut for a second, and then it came in strong and good and clear. The split second, it's like, wait, what is? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I have to be really, really careful with that voice.
Fantastic! Oh my gosh. We are winding down towards the end. We've probably got about 15 more minutes left. Let's see. I have a question about what do you think about bad builds or how to make a bad character good? I know that we were talking about that prior to stream, so we can do that. Or Dord has a question, which is what is the favorite plot twist that you've revealed? Or have you revealed it yet?
Ooh.
Both really good.
I don't think I could reveal mine.
I've revealed it, but it's a part of the season 1 of the podcast, which you should listen to, by the way. Yeah. Not to plug or anything, but yeah, I can't really talk about it if you haven't seen it, but yeah.
So we're talking about bad NPCs, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess this
seems that way. Seems that way.
Bad builds, maybe even like suboptimal builds. What do you think about them? How do you feel about them, and how do you make them into good characters or good players or
Roleplay.
Yeah.
Roleplay.
That's it.
Roleplay.
That's the only answer.
Dang.
You can make like.
Sorry, Siri got all of that, and she was like, "Okay, listen, I have an answer," and I'm.
Siri's a horrible DM.
Yeah,
Siri's a horrible
terrible.
DM. Has no answer to that question? Ugh.
No description,
So sad.
nothing. Oh my gosh.
Making a flawed character and having them have a reason for that flaw and like living through that story is like so much fun. Like having a cleric who doesn't really is a knowledge cleric, but is only a knowledge cleric because her adopted father is a knowledge cleric. So she's not really super intelligent, but she's trying her best and she doesn't care. She knows 7 languages. She's bad at all of them. Like she will mistranslate things and it's just so much fun. And like they're good at something. Like they're always good at something, but like what they're actually meant to be good at, maybe not so much.
Yeah. I had the same thing with my gnome barbarian. The way we rolled stats, it just so I couldn't dump intelligence because even we were just trying to go flat. So like even with he would have the racial bonus made his intelligence 10. So the way we worked it in was it was a barbarian, and his name was Pocket because he was a gnome that was raised by giants, so he could fit in their pockets.
Love that.
And because of the intelligence of 10, he was the smartest one in his tribe. But a 10 is normal. Like anywhere else, a 10 is an average. So, but in his tribe, he was the tinkerer because he has proficiency in tinkering and like arcana checks and all stuff. So I just flavored it but he was the guy that we love to hate that thinks he's really smart. But he's not because he doesn't have the stats to back it up. So when something's broken, he's just like, all right, now he was Australian. He's like, all right, now, and he'd go over and he'd hit something because this is how he's had to fix it before, and it's kind of worked in the past. And it's just making that through line of what's gonna work and making it fun. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this is bad. It's just like, well, this is gonna make for some really good moments, and when you do get it, it's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah. Love that.
So what do we mean by bad builds here? Because I'm an optimizer at heart. I see a odd numbered ability score. I'm like, what's a feat that could bump that up by just 1? Please tell me.
I can't deal with an odd number ability score. That drives me nuts.
Like a waste. But
yeah, 11 is the worst one. Why have
11 is so bad.
It's so close, yet so far.
Yeah. But useless. Might as well just have an 8. Go ahead, James.
I definitely do think it's important to build characters with flaws and flaws that come up frequently. But I don't know if I could make a suboptimal character. Like, I'm not a min-maxer by any say, but I do like synergy, if that makes sense.
Totally.
I get that. I just don't like when somebody makes such a broken character that it destroys the game for everybody else. That's my least favorite thing. When they're like, I'm playing a rogue and suddenly I have claws, even though I'm a human or an elf, and I can also do sneak attack while I'm punching you with my claws. And I'm not a swashbuckler though, so I don't know how I have all these things. And I'm like, I hate you so much right now. Please just stop.
I like putting broken things into games. I think in the similar sense of like bad NPCs. I have a whole thing where I like to make non-helpful NPCs that are not good for us as the DMs, but fun for the players. And I think my favorite one that I've done was I have like a birthday god, and it's I have a deity for anybody in the party show up. And declare to one of them, happy birthday. And then I look at the player and I go, is it their birthday? And if it is, you got a fancy cake. It's going to have some cool properties. But if it isn't, do you tell your god you're wrong? Or do you just take it? And was this a test? And whatever. And if you tell them like you're wrong, when is your birthday? And there's going to be a time jump, either forward or backwards. Because your god isn't wrong, and I'm just gonna that's a thing. That's kind of broken things I like to put in there. I like to make it's like, all right, here we go. This is just gonna jank this up. I hope you guys had 3 days until this thing you were trying to do, but Jeff just said his birthday was in 2 months, so have fun with that situation.
That is so fucked up. I love it, and I'm stealing it.
But it's all dependent on the player. It's all dependent on the player. You make this horrible broken thing, and it's not your fault if it gets It is, and it isn't your fault at the same time, because you did make the gun, but you didn't shoot it. You just put it on the table and then did this and backed away slowly. You know what I mean? And it's just like, is it a bad god or an angry god that's going to be like, you lied to me and they're going to do something, punish you? Or is it just like they're embarrassed? I like to do role playing like the embarrassed way, where it's just like, I'm sorry, it's not my birthday. What do you mean? No, it's your birthday. And then they make it your birthday and they're forcing it. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's my favorite one. I have a few non-helpful ones, but that's my favorite.
When you were talking about that, I just imagined like a Rick and Morty-esque like scientist coming through the portal like super drunk, just like happy birthday, and you're like, it's not my birthday, and you're like, oh, it's not, come with me, I'll take you where it is your birthday. Just like,
oh wow, that's a big one. Yeah,
that's anyway, join us for our one shot where we do that. That's amazing. I love that. I'm serious, James.
I think falling with that unuseful NPCs, my favorite are like the anxious, excited ones that are just like sporadic. So in the Tower in the Souls game on Queer Heroes, I had a character, they wanted to go sell this. They fought a mechanical dog of sorts. I forget what the actual monster was called off the top of my head. And they wanted to sell it. So they go to this shopkeep and she's like, yes. What do you have? What? A mechanical dog. Okay, I have the perfect use for this. Oh my god, this head would fit perfectly on my taxidermy squirrel. And she pulls out a squirrel. It's like, head on the squirrel, attack squirrel dog. Come back next time and it'll be attack squirrel dog. You watch it, it's amazing. It's amazing. Attack squirrel dog. And they're like, I'm sorry, what? Are we getting paid for this? It's like, yes, of course. Here's 2 gold. Attack squirrel dog. They're like, I don't know what's happening right now. It's like an attack squirrel dog is happening.
Thank you? I don't know what happened here.
Those are my favorite, though. It's just like, what the fuck just happened? It's like, you don't know. know how to speak their language.
I am so partial to NPCs who are just so sick of the party. They're just so tired. Like especially quest giver types. We're just like, oh god, it's you again. Okay. Let's just go kill the rats in the basement. Bye bye. Don't come back for another 23 hours at least. By far the easiest for me to roleplay as I kind of annoyed with people pretty quick. It's kind of a negative trait.
I feel like that comes from deep somewhere.
You just cast you in the movie of that scene. It's just like you are the person that is that guy.
Oh my god!
Interrupting again.
Bags under the eyes, just like, oh my god, it's you again. Oh no.
Oh god.
Are you here to ask another stupid question?
I'm always role-playing this guy. Like, there are stupid questions. Please do not ask any of them.
Oh my god! How do you deal with a really dumb PC then? Like, my storm sorcerer warlock has an 8 intelligence and she's so nice, but she's so fucking stupid. She's straight up the dumbest person that you'll ever meet. Like, she really
Montage. Whenever there's the players themselves or the character can, I'm like, okay, you will eventually do it, but I'm gonna say that X amount of time of just you guys trying to puzzle it out happens then. Like that, there's a detriment. Like, I like to make sure they can still get what they want, but like there's a give and take situation. So it's like, all right, yeah, we're just going to say that we're going to see like the sun do this action now and the sun rises and sets. But, you know, it's just you like, okay, but you're going to put the dog's head on the squirrel. All right. I think we figured it out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm glad we came to a conclusion.
Like,
I didn't expect you to understand.
Oh my god.
But you did. Surprising. Do you want to be an apprentice?
You walk away with a job somehow? I don't know what happened.
How did I get here? What happened?
That's when
oh my god.
We'll see you on Monday at 8 a.m.
That's when as the DM you make a dungeon that has a bunch of insane puzzles that no one can figure out, and you just say whatever the stupidest person does is the thing that works.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow.
I like that because sometimes like certain puzzles, like you have the barbarian in the back. It's like, this happened in Critical Role, I think once, but I was like, it looks like a sun. And then everybody else who's been like working on this for an hour, they're like, shit, it does look like a sun.
Amazing.
The answer sun, and then that was the answer.
And it lets them shine too, because it's like, I think there's always the times where it's like a player is just like, all right, these two people or this person's always going to jump to the forefront and try to tackle this, whether it's the player himself is like they like puzzles or they like solving things, or it's just like, well, I got the numbers and the stats to do this, so they do the role. And it's just nice when another character does it in one of those unexpected ways, or they say that one thing where it's like unexpected, and it's so good. I love it when people accidentally solve a puzzle.
Yeah, that happened in a Deadlands one shot I was in once. We found a tablet, and my character was the one that could read all the languages and like understand it, and was like the historical person is like, I'm gonna look at this tablet, and I failed the roll. Like I couldn't succeed, and I crit failed, so I couldn't even like comprehend any of it, and I couldn't retry. And then the blind character who had the lowest intelligence or smarts of all of us kept exploding the die and got like 18 or something on their roll, and they like magically could understand everything because it read itself out loud to him instead. And I'm like, really like, I've been training for this my entire life and you just did it. It was amazing, but also like irritating.
I think this is going to be my last question. How do you prefer to do stats? I know we've been laughing and stuff, but do you prefer like rolled stats, standard array, point by? What is your favorite method and why? And which one do you really hate? I'm dying to know.
I prefer D20s in order, like you roll strength and dexterity. I'm kidding. That's horrifying.
No, I was about to say that's the one I want to try.
It is fun.
The last question of want to try. I call that the chaos method. I want to do that.
One shot. It is
okay,
so much fun.
All right, I'm putting you both down. I'm writing it down right now. It's my birthday one shot.
I want to do. I call it the.
Do it for one shot and choose your class and race combo before you roll your stats, and then roll with whatever stats you get. It is
minimums
fantastic.
be damned. Minimums be damned. I'm a wizard with a 4 intelligence. Hell yeah.
Pew.
You just roll down the. Oh my god, that is so stressful.
I haven't seen the locking it into positions. That's a new level of hard mode. I didn't even think about.
You gotta go big or go home,
using
baby.
D20s. Oh man, me and you are gonna be friends, bro.
For sure.
We see this. Yep.
My birthday is March 21st, so expect that as a one shot for my birthday.
But no, personally, you can do standard array, you can do rolls, you can do whatever. It's all good. Just get those stats. I trust my players. Not to be like, oh my god, I rolled a 6 for all my rolls. Whoa, my character is 18 in every stat. This is crazy. I trust my players not to do that kind of stuff, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
I do 2 methods usually. I prefer 46 drop the lowest as my preferred method. And then I give them 1 free reroll, but they have to keep the new stats. So if they're not completely happy with the first rolls, they can reroll all of it, but they must keep the new ones. But I like to do something that I found from AD&D, and Sam would know this because of the character, but they have a background that gives them stats, but it's randomly rolled. So they do 3d6 instead, and then they get like whatever they roll and pick for they get for their background. That will give them more attribute bonuses. So like if you're a farmer, you might get +4 to your strength. Or if you're a noble, you'll get +2 to your charisma and +2 to your intelligence or something like that. So it helps balance it out because then you still get your racial attributes on top of that. Those are my favorite.
Nice. Very nice. James, Junie.
The method I normally do is kind of like Nikki's. I do the 46 drop the lowest, but instead of doing that 6 times, I do it 7 times. So they get to pick the top 6 from those 7. And then if they end up having no total number of positive modifiers, so if they have, basically an equal or less than negative modifiers, they just re-roll. And then when they get a legal set, if they would prefer the standard array, then I say you can have this one or the standard array.
Makes sense.
I've done a lot of that where I roll the 7 times to give them that. If it's like a one shot or something like that, I more times for the sake of ease, I just say do standard array or point by, just to so that way it's not, it's just I'm like, hey, just do this real quick instead of people coming in and then. That's just the way it works. But every once in a blue moon, especially for brand new people, I love just telling somebody to take a 16 or something. Like get one really high stat. Like I'll just give it to them. I'm like, go for it. Just so that way they can feel that oomph, that satisfying, like I'm really good at this thing, like initially. But I only do that if it's like super duper, like they've never played before, and I'm trying to don't worry about rolling these numbers here. Take this, and I give there's something where it's just like one dope stat, go for it, be amazing, and then we'll roll later, and you'll realize that it's not always a dream magic world where you're a god, but we'll get there.
I had a DM that did something like that where he gave us an 18, but he also gave us a 7. So you had to have both, and then he made us roll 46, drop the lowest, and if you didn't like that, you could do it again, but you had to keep the second one. I guess I'm weird. I kind of like point by. I just feel like it's easy for me. I should probably be doing rolled stats though.
I like the randomness of it. That's why I like the rolled version.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
There was a game I was in that was supposed to be like, it was a survival hardcore game that was intentionally supposed to be like, you are not above average. And the DM had us roll 4d6, remove the highest, and re-roll the second highest. And that was your stat. So
oh my God.
I'm like, what? Sometimes I got better than what I rolled before because my highest was like a 2, but it left you with pretty average stats. But like that was intentional because we were supposed to be average.
Wow. This has been kind of a wild ride. Honestly, I am so happy that we were I hate to end it right here because I think that we could probably go on for a few more hours, but I don't want to keep you guys all night, and I think we've already gone over by just a little bit. So thanks to my guests. You guys had some amazing insights, and I really enjoyed talking with all of you. Once again, I'm Steph. I'm with Radio D&D and the Practical Heroes Network. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Plain Ethereal. Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikki, and you can find me on Twitter at Beholder to No One, or wherever podcasts can be found. You can find that. It's 3 different shows, so you have plenty to watch. I also am the DM for Awfully Queer Heroes, their Uncaged Anthology series, which is finished, and the current Tower of the Souls, which is a chaotic, flirtatious, deadly game, which is super fun. You can find me this Friday at 2 p.m. on Weave the Tale playing Shadowrun, Spring of the Fireflies, where I am playing a Street Sam. And at 8 p.m. you can find me on the High Collective podcast or stream playing a tabaxi NPC in a circus playing Hekna, the new 5th edition game, which seems a lot of fun. And then next Tuesday I will be on Weave the Tale playing a different Shadowrun character that is a shaman.
Amazing. Judy.
Thanks for having me. I'm Junie Ruiz. I think I mispronounced my own damn name. I'm Junie Ruiz. I'm at Junie Ruiz on Twitter, at Professor Junie on TikTok. Also Professor Junie on Start Playing Games, where I sometimes post games and people can join those campaigns. I play Noah/Valathorian on Running Feywild, and he is a max charisma, high anxiety, max anxiety caster, and that's a fun thing that I'm doing. This Tuesday, I believe I'm going to be on the Last Game Boards Twitch channel. They're doing a Whose Role Is It Anyway, where we're all getting character sheets we've never seen before. We get them like the minute the game starts, and then we go. Last time I was a Warforged barbarian named Pants.
Amazing.
And I just had to work with that. Yeah, so literally they just give us a character sheet and then we have to just go. And they put details. Like I had to like learn it. Like it had like he had a little bit of like he trusts no one. He had a back tattoo. It was weird. Like all the details I had to like absorb as they hit like stream.
Amazing.
So that's some fun things. But follow me on TikTok and Twitter. I post ridiculous things and non-helpful NPCs. And I like to just make everybody's life a little weirder. So.
Yeah.
They just said that they got an ad break during that.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that's so funny. That's so perfect. That's so. I think I saw it in the background too. That's so funny. It's just like I'm Junie Ruiz, and then I start promoting myself as like some sort of El Dorado commercial or something like that. That's freaking funny. All right, I'll just bullet point it right now. I'm Junie Ruiz. I do things. I'm a very nerdy dad. VeryNerdyDad.com. I have a website. Why not? But I'm at Junie Ruiz on Twitter, at Professor Junie on TikTok. I'm looking now, waiting for an ad.
I know.
I know, I'm paranoid. I play Max Anxiety, Max Charisma Caster on Running Feywild on Wednesdays. Normally it would be on Wednesdays at 8. Not today because we had to cancel for reasons. This upcoming Tuesday, I'm going to be on the Last Game Boards Twitch channel, and they're going to be doing Whose Role Is It Anyway? And I'm going to be just given a random generated character sheet that's made from their community, and I will just have to figure it out as I go right there. But yep, Junie Rue is on Twitter. I do weird stuff. I'm a nerdy dad, and I think that's everything. I'm bad at promoting myself, and that's like my vocation, I think. That's what I'm a communications major, and I'm good at communicating for other people, not so much for Junie sometimes.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Sam.
I just want to say, Junie, your website's fabulous.
Thank you for your sweet lies.
They're not lies. I'm not a liar unless I'm DMing. But
inside check. No.
My name is Sam Cummerford. I run Role-Playing and Role-Playing. We make shitty ideas. We make a podcast. Right now we're doing Wild Wild West with some wacky stuff like debating whether or not cheese is real. I don't know how that tangent came up, but it did. Anyways, we've got a Shitty Ideas book coming out. Post Kickstarter should be out in late April, early May. So yeah, that is exciting. You can find me at ROLL-Playing, ROLL playing. It's a funny little play on words, haha, funny. And as well as Twitter at SamCummerford24, where I will post absolutely unhinged takes and jokes.
James, that leaves you.
Once again, I'm James from Radio D&D. Our podcast releases episodes bi-monthly, the first and third Thursday of each month. So yeah, come join us, listen to the stress I put my players through and the stress they put me through.
We don't put you through that much stress, do we?
Just enough.
Oh my gosh.
People just rated us as we're about to.
Oh
no!
Hey guys.
Oh my gosh! We're just ending. Well,
everything was so juicy and scandalous. Everything that was said. Man.
Man.
They'll talk about it for years to come.
Yeah,
I would like to say one more thing because I forgot to plug it.
Please, yes, we have time. We have people.
And there's people, yeah.
Yes.
Tell them all.
I have a new city building game that's starting. It's a pay-to-play game on startplaying.games. If you go to startplaying.games/Nikki Beholder to No One, or sorry, /GM/Nikki Beholder to No One, it's called Another Name for Home, and it is a 5th edition D&D, very homebrew style world where you're going to build your own town up from scratch while the rest of the world is still living and breathing and also creating. So I'm really hoping to get that started on March 5th with Session 0. If you're interested, please check out that link.
That is amazing. I am so sad. Can we start over? Hey, do you guys have another 2 hours? Oh man, we could take a break. We could come back. No, I think that we could probably just do a replay of this because we definitely had some hot takes, and I am so grateful for everyone for joining me. It has been fantastic. Yes, thank you, Hope, for TTRPGs for rating us. I really appreciate it. You guys can join us tomorrow where we will be playing a one-shot called Down with the Bourgeoisie. I couldn't even get it out all the way. I will be DMing it. It's kind of in the vein of Honey Heist. I bought it on Kickstarter. It's gonna be amazing. My players, including James, will be playing as members of the Proletariat.
I've already got
we're gonna, barely be able to handle ourselves, honestly.
Oh, it's the third one.
Yeah. I'm imagining everybody that's joining us is going to go through the clips and just seeing like Junie's favorite part of DMing, and then it's just like cocaine, and no one's going to know what's going to like. What? Hold on, how did they get to cocaine?
Yeah, I meant to remove that charity tag off of that after that mention.
I've ruined so much.
Oh man,
fine.
Thank you so much, everybody, for the follows. The Geekachu, Badger Sniper. They're coming in hot, and I can't even get to all of them. Yeah, I think
these
you guys.
These names are fantastic. I love everything that's happened just now. This is so good.
It's amazing. Yeah. We will try to provide the puns from Down with the Bourgeoisie. This should be a very, very fun stream. So please join us tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, for Down with the Bourgeoisie. I am Steph. I've been your host for this DM Roundup. I am so glad. If you loved it, we can do another one of these. I will make sure that we we rerun this. And yes, as Jordan has mentioned, we are raising money this week for ExtraLife. Please feel free to donate if you can. It's going to a great cause, and we are celebrating the joining of Radio D&D to the Practical Heroes Network. Once again, I've been Steph. These have been my wonderful DM friends. And yeah, we hope you'll join us again. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.